All right, that way I can send this recording out to anyone who can't make it, and to everyone who's here, you'll get a recording as well in case there's any information you want to look back at. But welcome to the Marketing Yearly Planning webinar, and we're just going to jump right in. So first off, I appreciate everyone who gave responses on kind of what you're struggling with. We got a lot of responses. We kind of repositioned this yesterday, or I did in my mind, about making sure that we cover a lot of this, which a lot of what people are struggling with is just like finding the right audience, your messaging, your branding, getting yourself in front of the right people. We'll definitely touch on that. And then we got a few responses of just like the consistency, and the calendar that we're going to share with you. And the planner for marketing will help with the consistency aspects and setting deadlines and, helping hold yourself accountable, because I know that's something we all struggle with as small business owners. It can be very daunting on the day-to-day. And sometimes if you don't have a list of like, oh, I need to do this today, then nothing can get done, or you're not working on the right stuff. So we'll definitely talk about scheduling and prioritizing and holding yourself accountable and how to do that. So yeah, without any farther ado, let's just jump right into it. Guys, I want to make this as interactive as possible, so feel free to use the chat, so that if we're asking questions, you can, let me make sure I'm looking at everyone in the meeting chat. Okay, got it. So that, we can kind of make this fun and interactive and learn as much as we can from each other. So the importance of planning your marketing, I just kind of discussed it. If anyone, has any ideas on why they think it's important, like throw them out there. But for me, the main thing is like to create consistency and accountability to yourself. Also to know who to market to. If you don't plan and you just kind of throw stuff out there, you don't know that you're maybe like putting the right stuff in front of the right people, to know where to market. And just to overall, like I kind of said, to have a plan that you can focus on. So to create focus and which should create consistency. So that's the main, benefits to doing it. You have a North Star that now is going to guide you on where you're going to go, where you're going to put your content, who you're going to put it in front of. You're going to set time-bound actions so that you have deadlines for yourself, and you're going to create a schedule so that you actually get your great ideas out into the world. So first off, we need to talk about setting your marketing goals and objectives. So with this, I know a lot of us want to get in front of that right customer. And in order to know like how to get in front of that right customer, we need to understand who that right customer is. So this could be called a perfect customer persona. It could be called your target audience. But ultimately, it's like, who do we want to get in front of? And the more specific we can be about who we want to get in front of, the easier it's going to be to find where they're at. So for example, if you're general and you say, oh, I want to get in front of like high net worth people, or I want to get in front of businesses, that's just not specific enough, right? So what does a high net worth person look like? Who are they? What age are they? What's their gender? What type of job do they have? Where do they live in your area? All of these things are important to identify, because depending on the channel of marketing you're doing, like if you're going to do paid ads and target, you want to target by age, by gender, by job, by location, so that your ads are going out to the right people. Also, if you want to do, events or pretty much anything, you need to know where those people are going to be. And you're not going to know that unless you know like who they are. Anything to add there, Danielle?
No, I mean, I think the only thing to add would be that, there is no one right answer. Whoever is your right customer might be different from, somebody else who's on this call. So it's really just about thinking about the kind of business you want to be running and the location where you live.
Yeah, exactly. And each location could be a little bit different. Like a high net worth person in Los Angeles is probably going to look different than like a high net worth person in West Texas, right? West Texas is a big oil area, and that type of person is going to be different than like a movie producer in LA, like how you speak to them, where they hang out. So that's, again, why saying something just as general as high net worth doesn't really help you figure out who they are and where they are. So once you identify like who they are, again, down to age ranges, types of jobs that they have, where they live, then you can understand, like, you want to start to understand where they hang out at, like whether it be online or in real life. So online, for my demographic, a lot of them are more on Facebook than anything else. I kind of target an older demographic that has money in a lot of areas. Like, you know, people in their 40s and up are going to have a little bit more disposable income, be throwing the parties. So like, what are they on? I mean, this day and age, they're probably on TikTok as well, Facebook, but like, what are they mainly on, and where are you most comfortable interacting with them? It could also be like email. My email campaigns do really good for Black Lab. A lot of older people still look at like newsletters and stuff, especially if you brand them right and make them look good. So, so where they hang out is like the most important thing. So if you start to reverse engineer, let's use an example of like an oil person in West Texas. Like, where are they going to hang out? They may hang out at a golf club, a country club. They may hang out at some type of oil networking groups, or you know, some type of social groups around the town. Chambers of commerces, maybe for small business owners in certain areas. So those would be good places to get in front of them. Potentially like farmers markets, trade shows, of course, and we'll get into that later. But where do they hang out? Not only online, but where do they hang out in real life? So you want to start to like identify those two areas, so that then you can have plans for digital and have plans for in real life events and type of marketing campaigns as well. Anything to add there, Danielle?
No, I mean, I think again, it's the same thing as I said before. Depending on the kind of group that you're trying to target, you're going to have to look in different places to find them. So if you've tried looking in one place and it didn't work well, maybe your people aren't hanging out there. You got to step back, reevaluate, where else might these people be, where I can get in front of them and get their attention. And you know, there's all sorts of ways you can do it. Like Joel said, country clubs, spas, farmer markets, trade shows, they're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at high net worth individuals, again, breaking down like what type of people are those in your area? Are they doctors? Are they lawyers? Are they professors? Do you live in a college town? Like, once you start thinking about who they are, then you can start kind of thinking about where they hang out. And as Danielle said, and we'll probably hit this point multiple times on this webinar, there's no marketing magic bullet. In this webinar, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell you like, go market here and do this, like, because it's just,
I wish it were that easy.
I wish, me too, man. If anyone has a marketing magic bullet, please share it with the group, or sell that or something, because we would all love it. But unfortunately, it is a lot of trial and error. It's trying something and analyzing if it works, coming up with metrics, and we'll get into that here in a second about like doing marketing audits and looking at metrics and seeing what's working and what's not, and then double down on what's working, and then don't waste time on what's not. Find something else that maybe is more similar to what's working, and that's a lot of what creating great marketing campaigns is a little trial and error, A/B testing, and just like good old fashioned figuring it out.
Yeah, and you know, just because I know there's a couple people on this call who are more interested in trying to break into the corporate world. And it's the same exact philosophy, right? If you're going to go after corporate clients, you first need to understand, are they large corporations? Are they small corporations? Are they tech corporations? Are they non-tech corporations? So still drilling down to who that target audience is, whether they're corporate or private clients. And then same thing, right? Just like how you might go to a spa or a trade show or a farmer's market for your private clients, you might go knocking door to door or messaging people who run like workplace operations programs at these companies, or going to, you know, even just going to like the lobbies of these businesses and leaving your business cards, leaving samples with them. And so it's a lot of the same techniques that you're going to use, whether it's private clients or corporate clients. It's just, you know, the particular setting is obviously changing.
And on that note, a lot of people, I think like, oh, digital, and it's great. It is, and it's effective, and definitely be online and have your brand presence there. But some of the bigger corporate clients I've gotten has been by going in person to the office, talking to the receptionist, smoozing her. I'll usually bring gifts like some of our little juice mocktail blends and some flyers, of course. Schmooze the gatekeeper. I'll ask the gatekeeper, hey, if you can pass along some juices to your bosses, that would be great. Here's what we're trying to do. We're an event company, and we like to work with brands for your promotional events. We offer great pricing for brands that work with us all the time, blah, 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 blah. You get that relationship built with the gatekeeper. Hopefully she passes your information along. You can schedule a meeting with the appropriate person as the company. If you're in a smaller town, you may be going to the town square and it may be the business owner's there and you can just talk to them. But like face-to-face helps a lot, especially if you bring a gift. And I don't think people give that enough credit. Now, I probably wouldn't be doing that. Like I would be trying to do that for corporate clients that I had a feeling are going to like book multiple times throughout the year, because it is a pretty good time investment to go build that relationship. But yeah, don't be afraid to go knocking on doors, and to be introducing yourself and getting yourself out there to businesses. And especially if you bring gifts, people love yummy snacks and things like that. So it's a good way to go about it. So
Joel, real quick before you go on, we just got a chat in the message from Rebecca asking if having multiple clients kind of all at once, is that good, or does it divide your attention too much?
Having multiple no, you're definitely going to have multiple target clients. What I would say is build your marketing one type at a time. So if I have basically, I think a lot of us have like 2 or 3 client types, like, you know, private clients, whether it be for weddings and anniversaries and birthdays and stuff, and then corporate clients are like the main big 2. You could maybe segregate weddings and then have private events and corporate if you wanted to branch it into 3, because a wedding client is going to be at certain places at certain times. And so anyway, but let's just boil it down to 2. So I want to decide, like, of the 2 private or corporate clients, what's going to be most valuable to my business. If I feel like in my area, like LA, corporate clients will probably be the most valuable, then that's what I'm going to focus on first. I want to get at least one channel built that's effectively marketing, getting to that target demographic. And I want to get that up and running and working. Then once that's up and running and working, I'll go build another channel for, you know, private clients or for weddings or whatever. So the idea is, don't try to boil the ocean all at once. Break things down into bite-sized executable pieces that you can do in a reasonable amount of time. You should be able to build, A/B test, and get like at least a good understanding of what's working and what's not on a new channel within 6 weeks. And
if you stay consistent with it.
If you stay consistent with it, if you do it right, if you do the practices, when we get here in a second into like kind of the nitty-gritty of the follow-up, the analyzing, the auditing, you know, 6 weeks, even if it takes you 12 weeks, don't feel bad. Like, you know, just, it's better to have one thing working well than 2 things not working at all. Yeah. So that's the point there, is just get one thing working first, and then move on to another channel, another target demo, whatever, you know, you feel like is going to be the next most lucrative thing you can do to grow your business. And then also you have to think about, and this is separate for each channel and target demographic, you need to think about what type of messaging is going to be most effective, right? The messaging you have to a corporate client is going to look different than the messaging you use for a wedding client. So you can't use like the same marketing materials for everything and everyone. You have to make them as specific as possible to the type of client. And again, my messaging for the, you know, entertainers and producers in the movie business is going to look different than messaging if I was trying to send that out to like oil tycoons and people in the oil business, or even doctors or lawyers. So like, you know, again, that's why if you specify that target audience, you can then hone in that messaging for that specific audience. And that should be more effective than just generalized messaging that doesn't really appeal maybe to anyone specifically. So what type of messaging will be most effective for the target audience? All right.
I'd like to add there too. We'll talk about this in just a few minutes, but, you know, kind of related to your question as well about do you start with everything or start with one thing? For each client, right, you're going to have your own messaging, but you're also going to have multiple things that you do for that client. You're going to have in-person stuff. You're going to have online stuff. Of your online stuff, some of it's going to be Instagram, some of it's going to be Facebook. And so, you know, even within each of those channels, you want to start with one channel for one of your clients, then a second channel for that same client, a third channel for that same client. And once you have all of those channels turned on and all of them are running smoothly, then you add your second client and you go one channel at a time.
Exactly. And all of the stuff we're covering today, I just posted a link to our blog article that on a very high level is talking about all of this. So if anyone needs refreshers after the fact. Also, there's a free marketing planner download. We're going to jump into that. If you're already an E-Cinch user and have an E-Cinch account, we're going to email it to you right after this event. If you're not, you can sign up through this blog article, or we'll also drop that link here in a minute. Just wanted to make sure we didn't forget about that, in case anyone needs to go back and give these principles a review. So what type of messaging will be effective? We discussed that. Now, do your products and services match the target audience? So your wedding package may look a little bit different than your corporate package. Maybe it doesn't, but it could. So you just want to make sure. And then also just in general, if I want to go for tastemakers, but my bar service is not really around mixology, it's more around just basic drinks with store-bought ingredients and nothing fresh, tastemakers actually may not be the best target audience for you. They, people who want like a mixology experience, or vice versa. If you are offering high level fresh juices and a bar experience versus just kind of like staffing and slinging drinks, which both are fine. But you probably don't want to be talking to people that want a more affordable service that don't care about that. So think about the type of services that you offer and who is going to be most inclined to want that type of service. And then, again, that's going to help you define who your target audience is. The next thing is determine your marketing budget. And so if you're just getting started in a brand new business, that's kind of hard to do because you probably don't have very much money at all. So you probably want to start off with like things that only take your time. Now your time is money, always remember that. So consider how much time things take you when you're doing marketing audits. It's not just like, oh, I spent this money and brought this much in from it. It's also like, oh, I spent like, maybe 5 hours writing a blog article, but only 20 people clicked it and it didn't make a sale. So maybe blogs aren't the best, thing for me to put 5 hours into. But if you already are established and have had, have a year of business or two or a few years under your belt, then you can start looking at your profits. And a lot of people don't do this, but you should set a certain percentage of your profits for next year's marketing initiatives, or for next month if you want to do it month by month. It's completely up to you on how lean you run. But you need to understand what you're working with so like what activations you can actually afford to do. I like to do like free office happy hours for companies that I want to get as clients. That costs me somewhere between $500 and maybe $700 in expenses. That's pretty expensive. So like, first off, before I spend that money, I want to make sure that this client like is going to be worth a lot of events. And second off, if it doesn't work, I want to make sure that I can still do other marketing initiatives that month to bring in new business. So having a budget, knowing, all right, if I have $1,500 a month to spend on marketing and I, do a $500 thing and I don't get them as a lifelong client, then I still got $1,000 to make up for it. And, we'll figure out what's going to be best, to spend that money on, and obviously not going to probably double down on doing free events that month. Not that I'll give up on that, because I know it's effective and I've done it and it brings in clients, but that month I'm probably going to allocate the rest of the budget elsewhere, maybe somewhere a little bit safer, that even if it's just like getting the brand name out there through social ads or whatever, but at least I know how much money I can spend. And then that'll also help me with my consistency and my focus every month, because I know I got this budget that I need to spend. So I'm going to spend the time to come up with the ideas to use my budget. Anything else on that, Danielle?
I mean, I think we should touch on like how much is a healthy marketing budget. And I think that all depends on your revenue and also how hard and how fast you're trying to market yourself, right? Your budget's going to be different from a different company's, and it all depends on what your income is like and how fast you're trying to grow and scale.
Exactly. So, you basically look at your profit margins in the beginning and maybe what can I afford to do? And it may just be time-based things. It may not be able to spend any money. Once you start making money and get to a certain point where getting all your bills paid, you're able to pay yourself a little something, then you can start to, dictate, all right, we're going to start at 10% a month. I would say anywhere between 10 and 20% of your profits would be probably a good little budget to go with. And as marketing, you may want to start low and work your way up. So start at 10% and work your way up to 20, because as you see your marketing working, you'll be more inclined to put that money in. So like, if I'm making 20,000 a month, so I'm already kind of scaled out, probably a few years in, if I'm doing that type of revenue, making 20,000 a month at a 40% profit margin, which means I'm profiting $8,000 a month, then I probably am going to dedicate like 15% of that. So about $1,200 a month into marketing. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's hard. I can't say like, here's X percentage, because again, it all depends on where you're at and how much money you're bringing in. Anything else you want to add there, Danielle? Any questions on budgeting, guys? Throw them in the chat if you have them, and we can readdress them. I'm going to move on, but if you do have questions, throw them in the chat. And we'll do a little Q&A after. So, yeah. So, okay. So that's budgeting. Now, next is starting to plan and actually set up goals and stuff. So you want to set what we call SMART goals. That means, and SMART's an acronym here. Let me share.
I got it, Joel. I'll type it in while you talk.
Okay. So it's SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. So specific, I want to do a promotional happy hour targeting high net worth individuals and business owners. That's a pretty specific goal. Measurable, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to collect leads and measure conversion to paid clients. So everyone that's at that event, I'm going to make sure I get their name and email, and we're going to market them, and we're going to see who converts into a paid client so that I can measure if that's going to work or not. Actionable is my email collection. That's the action I'm going to take, that they're going to give me emails. And maybe to inspire getting those emails, we'll give away a raffle for like a free at home or office happy hour or mixology class, or maybe like a free bottle of something if you want to keep it really low cost. Relevant, happy hour is relevant to everyone. So it's definitely a relevant idea, but like, is it relevant to the people that you're trying to present in front of, is what that means. And then time bound, like, when is this going to happen? How many am I going to do? Am I going to do one of these per quarter, one a month, one a year? Put a time bound action. And when am I going to do it? I'm going to do it next month, or I'm going to have it planned out and find different potential happy hour partners by the end of this month to execute it by the end of next month. But you have to give yourself time bound goals so that you'll actually get it done and hold yourself accountable. So set SMART goals. And Danielle, you typed that out. Okay. Yep. So that's kind of the philosophy behind it all. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the actual planning. So if you're just getting started, pay attention to this, but it may not apply in terms of we're about to jump into conducting a marketing audit and what that looks like. If you're just getting started, you'll want to do this at the end of this year. And also you can kind of, instead of doing a marketing audit, you can do a market research and look at your competitors and kind of take this mentality and see what your competitors are doing and try to gauge if you think it's working or not. But for the marketing audit, basically we want to review past marketing efforts and their results. So I'm going to share my screen, get into the fun part. So for me, there's tons of ways you can do this. You can look at, if you're doing a lot of social media stuff, you can look at your social media analytics. You can look at your website analytics. You can look at a lot of places. What I'm going to look at real quick is just like my social, my newsletters. So here I have all the newsletters that I've sent out. These are kind of old, but just wanted to give some examples. I have the rates of like sent, 98% send rates. That are 98% were delivered, that was sent, that's good. 39% was open, that's good. 9% clicked. So that looks like a good campaign. And what does this look like? All right, it's very clean. Obviously with Black Lab events, with my company, we target like high net worth individuals and corporate clients, a lot of people in the movie business and things like that. Nice photos, lots of, just pictures and actions, call to actions. This is like an analytics thing, so it's not clickable, but I'll just kind of show you some of this. Everything's super high end, and it's basically just like 2 quick call to actions. So that's why this had a pretty good click rate at 9%. Now, if I go here and look at this, and I have a 2% click rate, let's look to see. All right, I still have a cool, nice photo. It's nice, crisp and clean. It's a book here. Then we give them a premium cocktail bar option, a limited cocktail bar option, a boozeless cocktail bar option. So we give them more options to click here. They clicked less. It should be a pretty heavily clicked time, being in December 10th. I sent this out for New Year's Eve. So maybe I gave them too much options. And again, you're not ever going to maybe know 100%, but what we're doing is we're starting to break this down and analyze who did what, so we can kind of see what key takeaways that we know are working versus not. Here's another 9% click. And to me, that's the most important thing. Like, once I know that everything's getting delivered and that people are actually looking at it, then I know I'm working a good email list. So then it's really like, are they taking action on this email? This is a season's greeting one, and we have 3 packages in here. So it doesn't make a difference 3 or 2. Maybe it was just timing on that one. So I'm starting to kind of reverse engineer all of this information. The one thing I know my newsletters do really well, you'll see they're simple, they're clean, they're kind of hitting that like more elegant high-end clientele, and there's nothing but call to actions. I'm not putting a lot of text. People don't want to read a bunch of stuff about how great I am. They want to see, oh, I am having a holiday party, are one of these packages good for me? Let me click this button. Okay, here we are in the package system. Let me put in my information and let me get a quote immediately. So my clients can go from newsletter to pricing in a matter of, how long did that take me? Like 5 seconds, to, customizing this with using E-Cinch and submitting their proposal in no time at all, in minutes. So I'm delivering a campaign to my client that's high action related, that's driving them somewhere to do something, so that I can see these results. And then I can come back in here too and see like which packages are they clicking. I got 5 on 550. I got 4 on just general website clicks, 3 on 546. Now I can go open these packages and see like which packages people are liking the most. And maybe on the next email, I leave out 551 here because it didn't do that well. It only had two clicks. So again, I'm now compiling all this data, and then what we're going to do is write out a review. And so this is exactly what Danielle and I have done for E-Cinch. This is basically like an example making it relevant for catering companies, but catering company, software company, it doesn't matter. This all needs to be done if you're a business owner. So now here I'm going to say, all right, my 2022 sales and marketing analysis, the annual marketing review for XYZ catering company has been a success this year. We have implemented a variety of digital and traditional marketing strategies that have helped increase our brand awareness and customer base. So a quick summary of what we've done, and then I'm listing out, okay, our website traffic's increased 20% with an average duration of 3 minutes. Our social media has increased 25%. We got 10,000 likes and shares, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm documenting what's worked in digital and traditional, so that now I know the things to point out. So like here, 900% ROI. Now, guys, again, this is all just an example that I made up. But City Bridal Show apparently worked really well for me. So I'm going to do City Bridal Show again next year, right? And how I did this is I come down here. So this is kind of cart before the horse. The horse is down here. I'm listing out all the stuff that's working, and I'm grabbing the analytics for that. And then that way I can say what works and what doesn't work. And probably even below this, I'd probably maybe even add a section like what didn't work. Mm-hmm. But it's so that I know exactly, without fail, I've analyzed the data. I know what's working well and what's not. I'll double down on what's working. What's not working, we'll try other things to replace it. Danielle, anything you want to add there on that?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. I would always be analyzing your marketing efforts shortly after you do them, right? Don't leave it until the end of the year to analyze a campaign that you ran in January or February, because it's going to be that much harder to find that data. Plus, you're losing out on the ability. If you analyze your January campaign right after it's done, you can then use those insights for your February or March or April marketing, right? So analyze your stuff quickly after it's over, or soon after it's over, so that you're able to use those insights and not lose track of that data. You definitely, like, what's the point of marketing if we're not going to learn from it and then be investing that money properly? And then the only other, things that I'd add, there's all sorts of different ways that, frameworks that you can use to analyze what what went well and what didn't. There's something called a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So a strength might be, you know, City Bridal went really well. Let's keep doing trade shows. A weakness might be, you know, we tried knocking on doors and nobody answered. And so like, let's maybe stop doing that. An opportunity might be, oh, we knocked on 2 doors and it worked pretty well, so maybe we should try knocking on more doors. A threat might be, oh, a new competitor entered the space, and so we now need to market harder or like market first, right? So you can use something called that SWOT analysis. You can also, you know, use a simpler method, keep, change, stop, right? What's working well, what needs to be tweaked, and what's not worth your time at all, and stop wasting money on efforts that aren't fruitful. So those would kind of be my 2 things, right? Use whatever framework makes sense for you to do that analysis, and do that analysis in a timely manner.
And before you go into initiatives, already kind of come up with what your analytics are going to be, especially if it's something like a trade show where you don't have like a digital analytics like connected to your website or to your social media business account, whatever. So like going into this, I already know like, all right, the goal is we want to get all the email addresses, which the trade show is going to give us, right? We're going to hand out brochures. I know I'm starting with 500 brochures. I've got 200 left. So that means I've given out 300, right? We have E-Cinch there on our iPad. So anyone who's really interested, we can submit proposals for them on the spot. And we're going to track how many proposals we've submitted during the trade show. So you want to come up with your analytics ahead of time so you know what you're tracking, and jot those down going into, especially if it's like a live event type of scenario, something not online, because a lot of times online you can come back after the fact. And, you know, here on my website, am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. If you use Squarespace, guys, this will look familiar, but like, you know, I can always come into my analytics and get a ton of data, right? My traffic's down this month, so it's, you know, January, it's our slowest month for Black Labs. We do a lot of planning and not a lot of execution. But I can come here and get this data, see what people are, you know, where they're visiting me. So make sure if you guys, you have, you know, you all should have websites. If you don't, get a website. But make sure you know how to track the analytics on your website. Make sure, you know, if you had someone build it for you, at least make sure you know how to get into the analytics and be able to track your traffic, your search keywords, your traffic sources, site content, what's popular, what's not. This is, you know, in terms of digital, going to help you understand what's working and what's not. And then also like your social media, you know, if you have like a Facebook business account, they have a manager that'll help you track posts and how they're doing and all of that stuff as well. But definitely like you need to have that game plan going into marketing so that you have clear-cut ways of how you're going to track to understand if something's going to work or if it's not going to work. And that's definitely super important.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of different kinds of metrics, right? Like if you are an E-Cinch user, seeing how many packages are submitted to you every month, that's a really good metric, right? Comparing that to how many leads you're getting every month, that's a really good metric. Comparing that to how many website views you're getting, right? That's essentially your entire funnel. So identify ahead of time, like Joel's saying, what metrics matter to you, and, you know, and then track what those metrics are. We did get a question in the chat, Joel, about like who is supposed to do all of this, right? This is obviously a lot of work to do this audit, to develop the strategy, to execute this strategy. You know, my personal answer here, I kind of have a 2-part answer, right? You kind of get what you pay for. So, you know, you can pay a professional to do it, but that costs you more money than if you do it yourself. So you get what you pay for. And then also everything costs money, right? Whether you're paying somebody to do it or whether you're using your own time, because time is money. So, you know, no matter what, it's costing some form of money, and you get what you pay for. So, you know, yes, you could hire a professional to do this, but they're not going to know your business and your customers and your industry inside and out the way that you are. So, you know, you're paying for their expertise and their, you know, their professional experience, but they might not have the same level of context as you. You know, or you can do it all yourself, but you might not have as much marketing experience. So I don't know, Joel, do you have any other kind of feedback?
Yeah,
on
I mean,
that?
I would say all the planning needs to be done by you, the business owner.
And the auditing, right?
And the auditing and things like that. And at least in the beginning, because it's hard to hire someone if you don't know, at least on a high level, how to do it. Like me as a CEO, of a company I'm trying to scale to be a multi-million-dollar company, E-Cinch, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a CTO, but I do understand our tech from a basic standpoint. I know the stack it's built on. I know how to communicate with a technical person of, how it operates. So you don't have to be the master at everything, but you need to be a generalist as a small business owner. And on a high level, like conducting your own audits, coming up with your strategies of like who your target demographic is. Like, I wouldn't trust anyone else to do that for me. It's my business. I know who I'm trying to reach. I know what they look like. I know what my branding is. Now, you may not be a designer, so you may want to pay someone to help design a flyer or design an ad or design a brochure. That's where I would outsource those things. But in terms of like, especially in the early days of your business, like what your strategies are going to be and what you're going to do, I would not pan that out to an agency to start. Now, if you can afford it after a minute, you can pan it out to an agency, but you're going to be able to work much better with that agency. You're not going to pay a buttload of money for an agency to try to figure out where your customers are, who they are, and things like that, versus if you already know it and go to the agency and, okay, here's my target demographic. Here's the 2 channels that are working the best. Here's a channel that's not working so great. Here's some A/B testing I've done. And if you come to them with information and with knowing at least the basics of what you're doing, then they can take that and take it to another level, being experts. But you're going to spend a lot of money if you go right to them and be like, oh, just, build out everything for me. Like, that's your job as a small business owner.
Yeah, that's not to say that like you might be able to get a marketing mentor at the beginning who can help you with, guiding you to define your own persona, but you'll still have to do a lot of that legwork at the beginning.
Or like, Mobile Bev Pros, Sarah does lots of courses
Yep.
on marketing. Sign up for those courses. Score.com, Danielle and I both have free mentors that we've gotten from Score. I think it's .org, actually. It's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
That are like amazing.
And they're not just marketing mentors, they're overall business mentors. Yeah.
But like on Score, when you sign up for a mentor, you can put, what do I need most help with? And you put marketing, they'll try to match you with someone that's marketing. Or if you put operations, and they may not be in your industry, but again, marketing as principle, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. All the principles are relatively the same. There's probably little tweaks here and there, but like the principles of marketing are the principles of marketing. So, all right, let me look at time. We got 20 minutes, so I'm going to jump ahead. So we talked about SWOT and keep, change, stop. We looked at my example. So now we're going to get into the actual developing a strategy. And if anyone has questions about like in depth on auditing, just ask Danielle and we'll get to you here in a minute. But so the first thing is like messaging. You want to make sure, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, that your messaging is good. I'm just going to show you a couple of examples real quick. All right. Does this look luxury? If I wanted to target luxury clients, would this work? This to me looks like farmers, and nothing against farmers. And there's plenty of rich farmers, but it doesn't look like, it looks kind of hokey. It doesn't look, it doesn't look luxury versus, so this is just a good idea. If you're sending this type of marketing material out, like a brochure that looks like this, and I just found this online, I don't know who this is, and her offerings look fine, her shop looks really cute, but is that going to be as effective as a brochure that looks like that? That's well-designed, beautiful photos, not blurry, great logos, like just very well designed. So like, who do you think is going to win more? This person or this person, right? So make sure that your design is awesome. I would say if you're, and again, this goes back to boiling the ocean, trying to create 10 pieces of marketing material and all 10 look like, just take that time and create one piece of marketing material that looks amazing, right? Let me just, you're keeping an eye on chat, right, Danielle?
Yep, we're good.
So that's just a quick little thing I wanted to show a comparison of and get people's honest feedback. I like to design, and sometimes I think my design looks great, and then I'll send it to Danielle and she'll tear it apart. And then after she does, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Like I didn't see these things because I had blinders on because I've created it. And again, if you're not good at design, then just hire a designer. That's where I'd put my early marketing budget, is into creating content and design, stuff that I need, getting stuff that I need designed, excuse me. That's where I would invest my money
And photography, yep.
Yeah, photography, things like that. And again, a lot of that stuff, if you're doing events actively, buddy up with photographers, you can give them little credits on your website and stuff, get those free photos from your events. So now let's jump into the actual fun stuff of creating the planner. So here we go. So guys, like I said, if you're an E-Cinch user, we're going to email you a link to this. We'll give a link here in a minute. If you're not, on how to be able to download this, if you don't use E-Cinch. But if you do use E-Cinch, you don't have to go to the download. This will be in your inbox within like half hour after this webinar. But just wanted to take you in and show you how this works. So when you download it, I put in examples. Guys, you feel free to steal some of these ideas if you want, but I literally just put in examples off the top of my head, and this way it can kind of just get you going. But basically we have the planner here, and this is like kind of like the parking lot where we're just going to start to list out all of our ideas. Now we have them sectioned kind of by channel, so webinars, blogs, affiliate partners, YouTube. You may not do all of these. Guys, when you download this, this is your sheet to customize. So take out what you don't want to do, simplify it so that it looks like, you don't have stuff in your face that you don't need to look at. And then this is just the brain dump. There's no bad ideas on this page. So I'd start here at the title subject line and just start writing ideas for any webinars that I want to do, or blogs, or partnerships that I want to reach out to, whatever it may be, but it's a brain dump. Do the brain dump first. Don't worry about if it's a good or bad idea, because then you can come and prioritize. And then once you figure out what's the best ideas, which would be the highest priorities, then you can come and be like, all right, what quarter does this make sense to do it in? If it's a Halloween thing, like we put the Boo and Boozy, which is one of my favorite titles of all time I've come up with. It may be a high priority, but it's not needed to happen until Q3, right? So like it's here, it's on my list. I know it exists. I know I'm going to do it, but like I really want to focus on Q1. You have these little filters up here. So if I just deselect anything that's not Q1 and push OK, now I'm only looking at Q1. And then I can take information from Q1 and start to actually plan the date it's going to go in. So that's here on these other sub tabs, January through December, and I can put it on an actual date. And then I would probably take it a step farther and just plug it into my normal calendar as well, just so that I could put like a reminder on it and not, forget. Again, for the people that need help being consistent and holding yourself accountable, you got to schedule when you're going to do stuff, and you got to take that seriously and get it done when you do it. A quick little, let me see what this one was, wedding planning 101. One thing I like to do is you can also highlight a row, right click, view more actions, get linked to this range. And then you could come here to January if you want to be really techie like I am, and then push the link button on that cell, paste in the link and apply. And then now that way, when I click this, it's going to take me right to the row highlighted, even if I don't have if I have all the filters on, just to try to find where things are easy. Boom, there it is. And then here, once I figure out all the stuff, I'm putting all of my promotional copy in here. I want everything with one click away of so I can just go start creating my posts on Facebook, or if you use a social media manager, here's my copy. If you have some type of giveaway, here's a link to that, any notes I have. But again, you guys can customize this to fit your needs. And this is really where it lives. Guys, this week and last week, I probably spent 80% of my time for E-Cinch in this spreadsheet, planning, executing, and updating all my sales. So now I have pretty much the whole month of January done, and you guys are going to see how much I market this month. And it's going to be a lot, because now that it's all done, I don't have to think about it. The execution part, where I think some people get nervous, oh, I don't want to bother people, or have I posted too many times in this group? You got to get over that. So the marketing is about getting stuff in front of people's faces. People are used to it. I do try to do it respectfully, so I'm not going to blow up the bar groups for E-Cinch every day. I'm going to post like probably once or twice a week and then spend a lot of time answering questions and being a resource to the group, so that there is a nice balance between marketing and kind of being helpful. And that's, again, the E-Cinch method of how we do it. But with bars and catering and the same thing, if you have some groups you work them respectfully, but then just go help people. And also a cool thing you see we always do is anytime you're marketing, you need to drive the client to a place to get their information. So if you're just throwing out ads or newsletters saying how great you are, but there's no call to action, it's not doing anything. Or at least you don't know if it's doing anything. So all of your marketing initiatives need to come back to, am I collecting emails? Am I trying to get people to submit proposals? What am I trying to get them to do?
Am I trying to get them to share with a friend our post, anything? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a lot, even with Black Lab, with anything, I'm either trying to get someone to, we'll talk about Black Lab since that's more specific to you guys. I'm either trying to get them to submit a proposal or fill out a form. And that's how I've grown all my emails. So like my lookbook, you can't access my lookbook or brochure, whatever you want to call it, on my website without giving me your email information, right? You can't see my packages and pricing without giving me your email information. And then I start to save all of this information and dump those into my newsletter campaigns. And that's how I'm growing that email list. But the same thing, like when you do trade shows, you get everyone's emails. You have to actually use those emails. Usually marketing to somebody one time is not going to work. And marketing is about follow-up and consistency. So if I have a bunch of emails, that does me no good unless I then go nurture those emails. And if I talk to and communicate with them, weekly, or at the very least on a monthly basis, to remind me, here's who I am, here's what we do. Because the thing with marketing, you have to catch the right people at the right time. That's why you have to get things out to 1,000 people to maybe engage with 5, because it's just a numbers game. 5 of those 1,000 happen to be the right people at the right time that saw that ad, that are actually going to reply or take another step beyond filling out the form or signing up for the raffle or whatever. Danielle actually created this form for us. Do you want to jump in and kind of talk about this at all? Or
I mean, like Joel said, you can make this form whatever you want it to be and whatever it needs, whatever you need it to be for your business, right? So going back to talking about analytics and making sure that you're doing your analysis, right? You might want to add a column for analytics. How did this one ad or this one blog article perform, and store that data right here. You might want to set deadlines and due dates. If you have a team, like if you have a business partner, you might want to add a column here for whose responsibility is it to take this marketing effort versus this marketing effort, right? So, make the spreadsheet whatever you need it to be. You might also want to put like an inspiration tab, right? Where maybe you're seeing posts from other people in your industry that you're really inspired by their photos or their messaging or something. And you might just dump screenshots in there so that, whenever you're having a day where you can't, you're not really inspired, you might see something visual and then get inspired. So, kind of everything marketing that you need should be here.
Yeah, and that makes it more manageable. I'll just give you guys a sneak peek, just so you know that we're not full of it. I use this exact same thing. So this is my one for E-Cinch, and my little E-Cinch logo there. And I like to color coordinate. So anything in green, I've already done, and it's ready to either launch or it's scheduled to launch. My yellow means it's in progress, and then white, obviously I haven't done. So this is just wanted to show you this real quick so you can see I've made this my own. I came up with my own little process to highlight color code beyond just the color coding that we've already set up for you with prioritization. And then I had added my own thing for like my beacons and my notes. It's pretty similar to yours. But again, I made it, or Danielle made it. So we kind of made that for us, that what worked, and said, hey, this would be a cool giveaway for everyone else. But make it your own, definitely. Because it's your tool. This isn't something customers see or anything like that. And it is much easier to be committed to doing the marketing and getting it done when you have everything you need in one place.
Exactly. And, this plan is also not set in stone, right? I think, Joel, just so that we'll wrap up and have time for Q&A, it's in starting to wrap up, this plan doesn't have to be set in stone, right? You might at the beginning of the year, dump all of your thoughts and all of your ideas and all of your inspiration into the spreadsheet. And by the time half of the year goes by, you might realize, oh, one effort that you didn't think would be so successful became super successful, and vice versa happened. And so you might throw away a bunch of those ideas and then start to regenerate new ideas that are all around this new campaign. So, kind of what we've been saying, right? You'll analyze all of the data, you'll see how things are performing, try to identify those patterns and those trends. What are you doing in those efforts that are successful? And then tweak and repeatedly groom this list so that you're continuing to do the things that you're seeing are successful.
Exactly. And just real quick, a technical thing, when you guys go to download this, it's going to link you to this template. And if you have a Google account, you can just go here and go to make a copy, and then it'll copy in your own account. These instructions will be in the email I send out. Or if you don't have Google, you can go to download it as Microsoft Excel or spreadsheet or whatever you want to. I just wanted to kind of show that really quick, so that if you try to edit this actual template under my account, it's not going to let you. But yeah, Julie just asked about the recording. That's going to be sent to everyone in attendance. And I'll probably end up posting the recording in the blog article as well, but like everyone in attendance will be sent that. Does anyone have specific questions that they want to talk about, whether it's this seminar or just things you're struggling with in marketing? We got 5 minutes, and I'll probably stay on an extra 10 minutes or so, 15. So if you have a question, why don't you unmute yourself or raise your hand or put it in the chat.
Paul just put something into the chat, Joel.
Paul, you there?
Oh, okay.
Wait, who's that talking?
Raven.
Raven, jump in, and then I'll jump on Paul's question.
Yeah, real quick. So for these newsletters and things, I really like them. And I used to have a person that created all my newsletters, but I kind of took that out of my budget. Do you feel that you all are able to create these on your own, or is that something that I do need to hire someone for? Like what works best for you all?
I mean, if you're doing my style of newsletters, which are very basic, and like, I mean, there's no reason anyone couldn't create these. Where is it at, right? I mean, I purposely, I'm not, again, a professional designer, but I have my logo, I know how to hyperlink, and I have photos. And so like, to me, most people should be able to design a newsletter like this in like under half an hour. And that's like being generous with time. It's literally dropping in 2 photos with a couple of, so I mean, if you want to get super design, which I don't think is necessary, you can hire someone, but I would definitely just do it myself.
And
keep it simple.
What's this check out our new lookbook? Is that like just the pictures? I'm just curious.
I know. So on my website, if you want to see like our brochure, you have to download it. It's just like, I guess, what I call a brochure. So it looks like this.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, well, I guess in full screen mode, it's 2 pages. It's normally, I don't like the 2-page, but it's basically like a mini version of my website. So cover photo, this is like essentially exactly what it said on my about page. Clients to prove my credibility. Fancy cocktail photos so that they see how great our stuff looks, and then my packages. And these are all hyperlinked. So another thing with marketing is you want to be consistent on your call to actions and where you're driving people. And like, obviously for E-Cinch users, a lot of people like we get a lot of looky-loos that don't submit packages, and like I do as well. But I do get a lot of people that submit packages, because if they don't submit the first time, I follow up with a nurture email, follow up with another nurture email. And sometimes, again, that person may be looking at your pricing and they may not be actually in market then. They may be in market a month for them or 3 months for them. It's like a bride, she just got engaged. They got a little eager to go look for caterers and stuff, and then realize, oh, they're not quite ready yet. Or maybe they are in market, but someone just walked in the room and bothered them, and they, had to go to dinner real quick and leave what they were doing. So unless they have a follow-up email from me saying, hey, do this thing, reminding them to do what I want them to do, they may forget and they may never come back to me again. So that's why it's so important to nurture. But yeah, I basically have all my main packages here, and then they can click and go from the package right into the pricing. And
Do you
again,
find it essential to put the pricing next to it, the per person pricing on there?
I don't think it's essential. Again, my strategy is different than a lot of people. I am all about like weeding people out. I would prefer not to talk to people unless I like know that they are cool and comfortable at my pricing. So that's just my strategy. When I was brand new, did I have this confidence? No, I wanted to talk to everyone. Even the first few years in, until I built up the customer base that I did, I'm willing and happy to talk to everyone. But as I've grown and our time becomes more costly, especially because I don't even run Black Lab events anymore, I pay people to do it. I would prefer them only spending their time on high value clients that are very likely to book with us. And for a client to get there, we have different ways that, we groom them through taking them through E-Cinch, through automated nurture emails, but like, we're not sitting there manually typing emails to people trying to get them their business before we know they're cool with our pricing. Because again, there's two sides. You guys all know there's people out there that you can hire for a few $100s to be your bartender. And then there's companies like most of you guys that want to offer the mixers, that want to offer the great cocktails, the higher trained staff, and have the trailers or campers or cool bar rentals. And you're not looking for that client that only want to spend a few $100s on a bartender, right? So you got to weed all those people out. Some initiatives you may do, you may not be able to target down to not show them your materials. So then you have to have ways to weed out people beyond that.
And I think that goes towards what Paul's question was that he dropped in the chat, right? Like, do you put pricing on your website or do you not? And why? And it's all about what your strategy is, right? If you really want to prioritize getting that customer information and getting them into your system and versus transparency, right? Like depending on what your threshold is for how soon you might scare somebody off with your pricing, those are all going to change whether you put pricing on your website or not. And
I still safeguard it. So when you click my get a quote button, you still got to come through a form here before you get into my packages and pricing. Once they fill out this form, that's going to trigger a welcome email that basically just tells them submit a quote through our online thing, like, reinforces what I want them to do. But this is like kind of gatekeeping my pricing. Now competitors still can come in here and fill this out and get to my pricing, but I don't care about that. Someone's talking. Paul, is that someone? Hello?
nope, we're all good.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Where's my chat? Here it is. Are you answering questions? What about packaging with no pricing? Same strategy. Is it Cambria? Are you on still? You want to turn your mic on?
It's Nicole Simpson. I'm logged in under my daughter's.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was, hi, Joel. I was saying, kind of piggybacking on what Paul's question was, or your answer to Paul's question. What about showing your packaging with no pricing on your website? And that's why I'm saying, is it the same strategy as you're saying is kind of, to each his own? Because right now on my website, I have packaging with no pricing, so people can inquire with me and I can have that consultation with them and I can basically sell myself at that point. But I have been contemplating on taking my packaging off and going your route with, you don't really get any information until I get some info from you so I can communicate with you like that.
No, I think you still want to show, like I do, and I have my outlines of like, all right, I have bar only, catering and bar. A lot of people that I build sites for, I do a services section and still outline their different packages without the pricing. Maybe putting starting at, or minimum, whatever. But I think that you definitely want to let people get an idea of your services before you make them fill out a form, or else your form conversion will probably decrease a lot, because it's like, unless there's people typically just don't love giving their email away. A lot of people feel like they're going to get spammed or whatever. So you want to kind of really assure them that you have what they're looking for. So I think having those packages on a higher level, you don't have to like break down everything that they get, but like, here it's very high level. And then I think I break down a little bit more throughout the site. Maybe I don't. Yeah, just lots of photos and stuff. I think I used to have a services page. Once you go through my form, you get more information, and I still do have my menu here, which I think helps. But yeah, I like having your services there, even if it's like just on your homepage at a very high level. Like if you just do bar services, maybe like, we do full cocktail bars for weddings, beer and wine bars for corporate events, and you don't even have to say for weddings or corporate events. Maybe you don't want to specify, but like giving examples, or just saying like, here's our 3 package options. And then if you're willing to do things more customized too, you could put a line under it. Don't see what you're looking for, shoot us an email and we can custom tailor an event to your needs, something like that.
Right.
But I definitely think that, yeah, help them understanding that you're a right fit is going to inspire them to give you that information of like name, email, and to take the next step. If they're unsure on the fence or don't think you're the right fit, then there's no reason for them to take any type of action to get a quote or to fill out a form or do anything.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No worries. And on that, guys, and I've said this quite a bit, but website principles, first thing you want to do is like showcase what you do. So when a customer comes to my site, they know I do catering, bar service, and staffing. If they're looking for a juggler, they're going to immediately know I'm not their guy, and they can go find a juggler somewhere else, right? Or, whatever, I'm just using that. But you want to build trust is the second thing you do. So you can use like reviews that you've had, post those on your site, or like I have my big client list of big name clients here. I've got a video with, a rapper's birthday party on it and all those things, but you need to qualify yourself. And then you need to have a call to action. Those are the 3 website basics. Of course, you can get farther down the rabbit hole of like services and, frequently asked questions, but ultimately, like immediately the client, whoever's on my site, knows exactly what I do. I qualify myself with beautiful photos by showing the clients that we work with videos with, I am people, and you can't scroll very far on my site without the call to action, which I want people to get quotes.
Joel, you're not sharing your screen if you think you are.
Oh.
That would be helpful.
Could be, but again, sorry, I'll show this real quick. You know exactly who I am when you land on my site from the hero shot, catering, bar service, event staff. You can tell that I'm one of the top people that I do because I have great photos, because I have videos of celebrities, parties that we've done, and I have a client list of very high-end luxury brands that we've worked with. And then I have call to actions all over my site. Like I was saying earlier, you can barely scroll. Even downloading my lookbook is a call to action. They're doing something, I'm getting their information, or they're, clicking the get a quote button and I'm still getting their information. But
yes, I think the takeaway here, right, is like give enough information that you've built trust, as Joel has mentioned, so that people want to or feel comfortable giving you their contact information in order to get the full information, right? So don't fully gatekeep absolutely everything, because then you're not building trust with your customers yet. And don't give away all the goods for free, because then you're not capturing that data. So you might talk about your packages at a very high level. And then if they want to see your pricing and they want to book with you, that's when they need to give you their information.
Exactly. All right. Any other questions? You can type them in or jump on and unmute yourself. We'll take 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap this up. Nope. All right. If someone does have one, feel free to jump on. So the last thing, I want to make sure everyone gets this. If you want to download the planner, I don't know if Danielle already put that out, but I'm putting the link out again. That's a direct link to the download. of the planner there. You can also get to it through the article on marketing planning that I posted earlier. And yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much for attending. I really hope you guys got something from this. If you feel overwhelmed, feel free to hit us up on an email. We can talk you off of the overwhelmed ledge and help you, get to where, but like, honestly, with this planning, you break things down into small chunks. You write everything down and you create plans that require actions that are going to give you data that are going to make people do stuff. Don't just put out random pretty photos and say, look at me. That does not work. There's no way to track that. Call to actions, super important. And then tracking it all and analyzing it is the biggest thing where I think most people fall short. Is they put out marketing and then they don't really know if it's working or not. They don't audit, they don't track, they don't tweak, they don't A/B test. And that's the real key to being successful, guys. So I know you guys can do it. If you need any help, Danielle and I are always here. Any final parting words, Danielle?
Joel, we'll just talk about E-Cinch for a second. So anybody who is not yet a user, if you're interested in learning more about E-Cinch, feel free to reach out. We can always give you a demo of the product. I'm not sure if I'm recognizing anybody on this call who's not yet familiar with it, so I won't spend too much time there. If you are an existing user and you want us to do an audit of your packages, help make sure that your packages are completely optimized, reach out for that as well. We'd be more than
guys,
happy.
we've made a lot of improvements, and having Danielle's brilliant mind on the team has helped us kind of figure out ways to get people to convert. A lot of it's simplifying. So if you've been in the system over a year, I would highly recommend scheduling some time with Danielle and doing an account audit with her, and it'll help you out a ton, because again, we've learned a lot over the past year. If you're not, create a free E-Cinch account. It's free to create now. Of course, if you want to actually have it be customer facing and use it, you'll have to create a subscription, but you can at least get started for free, use it as a resource. And again, if you're already using it, you've been with us longer than a year or 6 months or whatever, if you're just getting started and you need help, hit up Danielle. help@e-cinch.com. We'll throw that in.
Yep, throwing that in now. And then also here's a Calendly link that you can use to just book time with me. So anybody who needs that audit or who wants that demo, anything, just use that Calendly link. If you need something more extensive, like if we need to do a complete rebuild of your package, 45 minutes probably won't be enough, but that link will be good enough for some basic catch up.
Awesome, guys. We appreciate you so much. Again, please don't be strangers. We're here to help. That's what we love doing. I like helping first and then getting people set up to Cinch second, but really like helping is our #1 priority. And so, yeah, hit us up. Thank you guys so much for giving us your valuable time. We will see you on the next one. And we're going to be sure to try, we're doing one webinar a month. Mark my words. One webinar a month. So if anyone has webinar ideas, shoot us an email. Let us know anything you're struggling with, and we'll love to curate some content to help you out. All right, guys, take care.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.